All right, so I guess we'll get started. My name is Daniel Marujak Waldo. I am one of 5 student success advocates for ENMU-Ruidoso, or Eastern New Mexico University in Ruidoso. Advocate is a relatively new term in that we have been adapting and adjusting our services. So, if you will, an advocate is like an advisor that also teaches adult education and then other courses and does many other things. So whenever you see the term advocate, if it makes sense, just think of it as an advisor. What I'm going to be talking about today is IBest, or Integrated Basic Education Skills and Training. Many of you have probably heard of this before. If you haven't heard of the term IBest, it would be IET, or Integrated Education and Training. So with that, I'm just going to share my screen. And then I was telling, the organizer that I should have asked for help in having people admit and everything. But if you please just type any questions you have into the chat, and then I will get to them eventually. I probably won't notice them right off the bat. So starting off, just a quick okay. All right, hopefully you can't see all that. Okay, so IBest at ENMU-Ruidoso, and again, Integrated Basic Education Skills and Training, also known as Integrated Education Training at places like DACC, I believe, Doñana Community College, so on and so forth. But this is a growing movement, and you're probably already aware of it without being aware of it, or using it already. So real quick, here's my information. If you need to contact me at all, my name is Daniel Waldo, Student Success Advocate at ENMU-Ruidoso. And my phone number is 575-315-1126. And then best way to contact me is to email me. I'll get my email in there in a minute. Didn't realize that was going on. Okay, so to start out, just as a little basic background information, this program, originally known as IBest, was developed in Washington State and then really took off in LaGuardia Community College in New York. Initially, it was meant for people, or the people who used it most were those for whom English is a second language, going into certificate programs. So certified nursing assistant, early childhood care development. We'll talk about the programs offered at ENMU from the beginning. But most basically what it is you will have 2 instructors in the classroom. One is the content instructor. So say if it was a certified nursing assistant program, there'd be an instructor teaching the nursing skills. And then there would be an IBest instructor. And that person would be teaching skills such as note-taking or grammar or
where are you going?
Mathematics, so on and so forth.
Daniel, I'm sorry. I need to make an announcement. Will everybody on the call please ensure their microphone is muted? Thank you.
So the idea with IBest again is to get people who have the ability to complete careers or certificates such as nursing assistant or early childhood development or even emergency medical technician, but maybe English isn't their first language or they're lacking certain basic academic skills. So there will be the content instructor teaching nursing or early childhood information, and then the supplemental instructor or the additional instructor who is IBest teaching skills such as grammar, simple mathematics, so on and so forth. Again, please, I'm just looking at my PowerPoint right now. If you have any questions, just type them in. Okay, so IBest has been around for about 20 years. However, given various institutions and the context of those courses, it's had mixed success. For ENMU-Ruidoso, we've been quite successful for an IBest instructor being in biology courses, and then our certified nursing assistant courses. And currently, we are working with Jeff Frawley, our department chair at ENMU-Ruidoso, in composition, which we're seeing how that's going. It's an ongoing process. Um, so key thing with IBest, just to reiterate, is you have the content instructor, and that is the person teaching mathematics or composition or nursing. And then you have the IBest instructor who's in there teaching basic skills, grammar, or multiplication, or it changes all the time. So the IBest model has initially been for certificate programs, like I was saying, in Seattle and LaGuardia in New York. However, it's moving more to full-on college credit courses. And then at ENMU-Ruidoso, we've begun to integrate adult education into not college credit courses, but the same learning structure. So you're going to find this at ENMU-Ruidoso, for example, all over the spectrum of services. Okay, so again, students, it was initially developed for students for whom English is a second language, but what we're finding is many students, either traditional students or non-traditional, are coming out of high school or getting back into college without the necessary skills. And this is things like note-taking, actually just responding to emails, so on and so forth. So at our campus at ENMU-Ruidoso, all you have to really do to be successful is keep in contact with your instructors as long as you're doing the work, and you will succeed. However, most students are not used to that. And then the majority of students that we have at least one, if not two other jobs, a family, so on and so forth. So they really do benefit from the extra support provided by IBest and just in general. So IBest, and I was just in a conference earlier today about adult education. IBest takes a little effort to integrate. Mostly, and what I was hearing from this conference earlier today is that you need to have buy-in from your campus community. And by buy-in, or campus community, I mostly mean instructors, and buy-in that many instructors feel like if you have another instructor in there for the basic skills, it's kind of a threat, or it seems to be that way. That's not the case at all. It's more integrating, as the name says, and working together to figure out what works best for students. So we've got 6 different models here. I'd like to say that they all meld together, if you will, and we'll go through each of them. But it's mainly the best practice is to have the instructor and the IBest instructor work together. So just to go through these real quick, traditional model is the instructor will give verbal instructions, and then the IBest instructor will go around and kind of check that everyone's doing all right, understanding what they can understand. I've heard examples of where if the IBest instructor notices that a student seems to stop taking notes or look a little bit confused, they will go ahead and ask for a reiteration of whatever point was made so that the student can catch that. Collaborative is you're both working together, and you kind of team teach, if you will. So the content instructor will propose a theory or whatever it is, a formula, so to speak, and then the IBest instructor will give another way of approaching that understanding, if that makes sense. Parallel, so you're both working on the same stuff at the same time, but maybe you're splitting students up into groups, or doing different approaches, if that makes sense. It's really based on student needs. And again, another one, sometimes instructors will the content instructor will go over new material or a theory or whatever, and then the IBest instructor and the content instructor might split up the class and then take them and do different instructional methods. And this is really based on meeting your student needs, as is all of this. And then again, so content instructor may be lecturing, so on and so forth. And then the IBest instructor will kind of circulate the room. Say if a student stops taking notes or looks confused, the IBest instructor might raise their hand and ask for clarifying points, or it might just individually talk to the student discreetly and figure out where they're missing instruction. And then a complementary model content instructor will give a lesson, so on and so forth, and then set the class out to say do group work or individual work, so on and so forth. The IBest instructor might ask questions of the students or notice students struggling on certain things, and then take a follow-up session to address the whole class on stuff that students might seem to be lacking on. So this is a relatively new program, the past couple of decades. And I mean, again, it was mostly been developed in Washington State, but also LaGuardia, New York. For ENMU-Ruidoso, we've been practicing IBest or IET in the Certified Nursing Assistant Program, biology courses. We're working on composition courses right now, and we're really feeling out how it will work out. It seems to be different for each group. So I was just in a conference earlier this morning where they were talking about IBest, also known to others as IET or Integrated Educational Training. So Doña Ana Community College is currently using IBest IET in their nursing program and then a construction trade program. Santa Fe Community College has been using IBest for quite a while, I think more than most in the state, and they have it in various programs. And there was another key one, but I can't remember. I think Catholic Charities Services. However, wherever you go, including New Mexico, you're probably going to run into some instance of IBest IET in this state. So mostly the key thing is we are here, IBest is here, IET is here for the success of the student. The idea is, and ideally we can meet each student individually where they need to be met. So if they're lacking grammar skills or mathematics skills or terminology skills, there will be an IBest instructor there to help that student get to where they need to be to successfully pass the course. Again, we're trying to implement IBest in all fields, credential courses, certificate courses, but we are looking at certificate courses. So what I'd like to do is, again, here's my contact info. What I'd like to do is just do a run through of our program courses at ENMU-Ruidoso. Let me pull up a new screen. So talking about certificate programs and oh no. To clarify, with certificate programs, these are typically 1 to 3 semester programs. What we find is with many instructors, they're reluctant to have another IBest instructor in their classroom. And like I was saying, Alexandria asked me if I wanted to help with this, and I said no, and now I'm regretting it. So don't be complacent. Anyway, So certificates of completion. So these are 1 semester to 3 semester courses that will give you a certificate with which you can go directly into the workforce and get a job. When I say a semester, I typically mean 16 weeks. So 1 semester would be 16 weeks. If you think of 3 semesters, that'd be like 1.5 years, not including summer. So some of the programs that we have that are well, not extreme, but in high demand are nursing. So we have a pre-nursing certificate, and then more immediately a nursing assistant certificate. And so with this one, this would be a 1 semester type course. It's basically 2 courses. And with this, you would get a lecture. So I'm the IBest instructor for this, and I find out that I'm a severe hypochondriac. But with the lecture, you get information like how to change a bedpan, and inserting an IV, so on and so forth. And then the second part is a lab with which you get how to actually stick the IV in or take somebody's blood pressure, so on and so forth. So this can be done in 1 semester, just a matter of weeks. And then you have a certificate with which you can go out and work in a nursing home or some home care type stuff. Another program that I'd like to emphasize is child development. So another one that's in high demand right now. And this would allow you to work in a daycare or as a teaching assistant potentially. And so as you can see, there are 6 courses. Depending on your level of motivation, you could get this done in a year or maybe even a semester if you were super hardcore. And then with that, you could go right into working for a child care center or a teaching assistant, so on and so forth. So with these certificate programs, the idea is that you can get this finished relatively quickly and then go right into the workforce. And then the cool thing about it is if you decide to continue towards a degree, the courses that you take will count towards that degree. But these are primarily focused on getting a job, so to speak. So other ones are welding technology. That's typically a year, depending on how motivated you are. Wildland and fire science. So basically being a firefighter. We have some new programs about fermentation. We're still, well, it's pretty much done now, but the building is being remodeled to house these sorts of certificates, and going from there, huge field right now, though it does take some computer skills, is cybersecurity or information systems. And with those, you can get a certificate, pretty much get a job out of anywhere, and then go on to a degree. But what I'm afraid to say is I found that students who are continuing a degree in cybersecurity have been offered jobs in their junior year of college and basically quit school and go take that job, which is cool. But at the same time, it'd be great if they got a degree, so on and so forth. So I think I've covered pretty much all that I need to. Does anyone have any video or questions or anything like that?
I have a question, Daniel. The certificate programs do this, and I don't know if you covered this, but do the students need to be enrolled at least part-time at the university, or can they just take it without a certain level of, a certain number of courses being enrolled in?
So it really depends on the student. And mostly, so with these certificates, you are eligible for financial aid. However, if you're not using it, then it doesn't really matter how many courses you take at a time. If you are using financial aid, you're going to want to take at least 6 credit hours or 2 courses roughly, and that'll give you part-time financial aid. However, if you're doing it of your own accord, then it's up to you how many courses you take and when you want to take them, so on and so forth.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Daniel, I had a question.
Yes.
In order to work on these certificates of completion, does a student need to be a graduate or have a GED?
So for the most part, yes, they would need to do that. What we can do is, because adult education is housed within ENMU-Ruidoso, is we can have them working on their GED while they're taking credit courses or certificate credit courses. But typically, yeah, for the most part, they do.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Hey, Mr. Waldo, most of those programs are online too as well, right?
Yeah, so pretty much everything is going to be online for the foreseeable future. We're hoping to start getting back on campus by August. And then we're all banking on getting, oh, sorry, Jim. We're all planning on getting back onto campus in fall. Sorry, man, I use weird slang. Anyway, so courses like the certified nursing assistant has to be face-to-face because there's so many hands-on techniques, so on and so forth. So we're making exceptions for that. But right now, our president is very cautious about COVID precautions. So wearing a mask, everything, minimal people on campus. And then after spring break, I think we'll have a much more solid idea. So most programs are entirely online, cybersecurity, so on and so forth. And then it's just the courses like certified nursing assistants that have practicums that you have to come on campus for. But they're all socially distanced, so on and so
forth. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So what I'll do is I will put my email address in the chat. If you have any questions, let me know. I would strongly recommend, if you're interested in this program, looking up, well, just Google IBest, but what will come up is Washington State's program. The main representative, and his name is Durden. His last name is Durden. I can't remember his first, but I just think of Tyler Durden from Fight Club. But anyway, he's very receptive. If you have any questions, feel free to email him and he'll get right back to you, and I can direct you to him. Again, if you're at DACC or Santa Fe Community College, you guys are already doing this stuff. It may be called IET, as in Integrated Educational Training, but it's already happening. Cool. Do we have any other questions, or? All right, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jim, and sorry, I forgot the other interpreter's name, but thank you. And feel free to email me, and I'll catch you on the flip side.